I am back with another edition of Here's What, and today's edition is all about the ladies. Now, you cannot see, but my shirt says Girls Around the World, and they're clearly running the WWE because we are just under a month away from the Mae Young Classic. Now, I know all the matches were taped. We're not here to talk about that. I'm not going to spoil anything. I want to talk about all the fantastic ladies in this tournament, and I'm just going to jump right into it. Now, I'm probably going to look down at my notes because there are a ton of women, and I don't want to miss anybody's name. So, in alphabetical order, we have Abby Lath, formerly known as Kimberly. If you've been following independent wrestling, the indies for a while, you know who she is. She's been consistently a top star. She's currently signed to NXT. We do have a couple of other NXT ladies in the mix. Now, we also have Aisha Raymond. Don't know too much about her, but I know she is representing England. And she is 6 foot tall, so that's already going to give her an advantage over most of the field. Because, she's got the height advantage there right away. Now, somebody else who has quite an advantage is Bianca Belair. She is pretty new to NXT. She's representing the USA. Now, she doesn't have much wrestling experience, but she is big into CrossFit, huge athlete. She was like the top combine for men and women in NXT. She is crazy strong, so she definitely, like I said, has a power advantage. Now, one of my current favorites, I'm sorry, I don't want to be biased, but Candice LeRae, how can you not love her? She is women's wrestling, obviously representing the USA. Now, I don't know if WWE is going to sign any of these women. I hope they sign every single one of them, but Candice LeRae, come on. I mean, she's Mrs. Johnny Gargano. You got to have both of them in there. Now, we also have Dakota Kai from Australia. She's just currently signed to NXT. Now, you probably have seen her as Evie. Spunky little girl. Kind of reminds me of AJ Lee. She's got a huge, she has a huge future in front of her. So even if she doesn't advance far in this tournament, you're going to see a lot from her. Jazzy Gabbert is the next person. Now, you might not know that name, but you probably know her as Alpha Female. Now, not really a spoiler alert, but I did hear that the crowd chanted to Triple H to please sign her. She's 6 foot tall. She's one of the best women wrestlers in the business today. Triple H, probably not watching this, but you should listen to that NXT crowd because they know what they are talking about. You need to sign her. Up next, we have Kairi San. Sorry, probably said her name wrong. Representing Japan. Again, one of the top stars. She is probably going to go far in this tournament. Now, can you see her against Asuka? Maybe she's the one to beat her. I don't know. Now, I also don't know if any of the, whoever the winner is, not sure. I know they get a trophy. I don't know if they get an NXT title shot. That would be fantastic. Now, after her, again, I'm going in alphabetical order here. So, we have Kaylee Ray representing Scotland. She's been around for a while. I think everybody knows of her. A lot of these women, the ones that we've seen, that have been doing this for a while, clearly have the advantage in terms of being out there and having the wrestling experience. But, next girl on my list, Lacey Evans, a.k.a. Macy Estrella, representing the United States. Currently signed to NXT. She's only been there for about a year, but she has a bright future ahead of her. Former Marine, very athletic. She is probably going to go pretty far in this competition. Following her, we have Marty Bell. Now, she is from the USA. She is representing the Dominican Republic. She kind of reminds me of Layla in terms of looks. She's very spunky. Now, you probably remember her in TNA. So, again, she's got a lot of experience, which is going to clearly play into effect in terms of, because some of these women, in this tournament do not have that much experience. Now, I don't want to say my personal favorite, but she is from Connecticut. Mercedes Martinez, representing the USA, obviously. Now, she's been doing this for 17 years. Again, a lot of experience, which is, depending on who her opponent is, may play very well into her favor. Next person, probably a personal favorite, again, is Mia Yim. She really is a really nice lady, as I've seen on Twitter. She is representing South Korea. She's from the USA. Top star, you've seen her in TNA. Again, you probably know most about these ladies, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Now, we also have Miranda Salinas, who is relatively new, but she was trained by Booker T. She is representing the USA. And Booker T, five-time WCW champion. So any protege of his, I'm sure, is going to be amazing to watch. We have another another person representing the USA, Nicole Savoy. She is tough as they come. I'd love to see her against Lacey Evans. That would be great. But a couple of ladies that I just realized that I have not talked about yet. But she's another one to watch. She's been doing this for a while. Now, representing Scotland. See, not everybody in here is the USA. We do have, I think it was 13 countries represented. Piper Niven, another powerhouse, strong woman. She is definitely one to watch. I've heard a lot about her. Next is Princesa Shaget. Sorry, guys. Representing Mexico. Another top star. Now, speaking of top stars, another one in the making, Rachel Evers, a.k.a. Rachel Ellering, Paul Ellering's daughter. We all know about her. She has a bright future ahead of her. You know, those second, third generation girls have really been taking over the wrestling world right now. Charlotte, you better watch out. Natty, coming for you. Now, this girl is not actually, she is a second generation. Her father was a wrestler, Reina Gonzalez, representing the USA. She's from Texas. She's 6 foot tall. Again, that is a major advantage over a lot of the other ladies. She's very athletic. She played basketball in high school. She's new to WWE. She's been signed to NXT for a while, just made her debut. So that could play into effect because you've not seen too much of her, so her opponents don't know what to expect. Now we also have Renee Michelle. Very small, but she's quick. Not one to be counted out. She is representing the USA. Another girl who I believe has a bright future is Rhea Ripley. You probably know as Demi Bennett, representing Australia. She's young, but she's got a lot of experience. She has also been signed to NXT. Some of these girls we just found out have been signed to NXT, so you probably haven't seen them yet. Sage Beckett, you know her as Andrea, representing the USA. Another powerhouse. She's been all over the independent circuit. We all know what she's made of. Speaking of being all over the independent circuit, somebody else representing the USA, again, one of my personal favorites, Santana Garrett. I mean, if you watch women's wrestling, you know who Santana Garrett is. She's one of the top stars in women's wrestling. She's been wrestling for WWE for a while. I hope that they sign her. Like I said, I hope they sign everybody. But Santana Garrett and Candice LeRae are two of the girls I'm pretty surprised that WWE has not signed yet. Now we also have Sarah Logan, a.k.a. Crazy Mary Dobson. NXT signed, representing the USA. Again, we all know what she's made of. We also know what Serena Deeb is made of. That was a surprise entrant into this, representing the USA. We all know who Serena Deeb is. If you don't, Google her. One of the greatest women wrestlers of all time. Now, she had retired, and I believe, but you know what? When the Mae Young Classic comes calling, you enter. I cannot wait to see how she does. Now, somebody else I think everybody's pretty interested in is Shayna Baszler, representing the USA. She's also representing the Four Horsewomen. Not those Four Horsewomen, the Four Horsewomen of MMA. They may get into it with the other Four Horsewomen because, I don't know, they might not like it. She is tough. She is MMA trained. She's probably going to have now she's pretty new to wrestling, not so much, but again, with that MMA background, she's going to be a tough one to beat. Now we have Tainara Conti. She is new to WWE. She's been signed to NXT for a little bit. She is representing Brazil. We haven't seen too much of her, which could, like I have said before, could be a strength or a weakness. But she is big into jiu-jitsu. I believe she has a black belt, so she is going to be one to watch. Next on the list, Tessa Blanchard. We all know who she is. I don't know what more I could say about her other than you're going to probably see a lot of Tessa Blanchard in WWE because she is one of those girls, again, with a huge future. Speaking of huge future, Toni Storm. She's quickly becoming one of my favorites, representing Australia. She's got this, technical, high-flying thing going on. She's been doing this for a while. She's another one that you really need to watch out for. We also have Vanessa Bourne, a.k.a. Danielle Kamala. Somebody we haven't seen too much of, but she is an athlete. She is signed to NXT, and she is looking to make a name for herself. As are the last two ladies on my list. Zia Lee. She was the first female recruit from China. Big into martial arts, so she does have that athletic background. She has signed to NXT. And the last girl who's also signed to NXT was Julie Real. Her name is now Zeta. She is representing China. Another one in MMA. A lot of these girls with the MMA background are going to be tough because, you know, MMA and wrestling obviously have similarities, but a lot of those girls are going to be tough to beat. Now, there are a few girls that I would have liked to have seen. Obviously, not everybody could have been involved. There are a few that I would have liked to have seen in there. One of them is pretty surprising. Deonna Purrazzo was not signed. She's been working with WWE, doing a couple NXT events. She may have been I believe she was an alternate. But, I'm really surprised. But, you know, like I said, you couldn't use everybody. Maybe we'll see her in the future. A couple of girls from ROH, Ring of Honor. Kelly Klein. She's big up and coming. She's pretty big in ROH, as are Mandy Leon and Taylor Hendricks. Again, I know we can't have all of them. It's really hard. The field that they have is fantastic because I love the mix of the girls from NXT and the girls from all around the world. Just would have been nice. Maybe you could have thrown some names in there. Now, I probably mentioned it before, but the girls that I think you need to be looking out for, Mae Young, Dakota Kai. Now, those two girls, you'd probably consider underdogs. Never count the underdog out. I'm rooting for them. Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm. Not so much underdogs, but just girls that, like I said, have a bright future. And Shayna Baszler, she has the backing of the Four Horsewomen. She has that huge MMA background. She is definitely going to be a tough opponent. Now, this airs the end of August. I can't remember the exact date. The finale is going to be in September. I will come back after and discuss the matches. I am excited. Now, if there's anybody you wanted to see in Mae Young Classic that is not in here, that I did not name, you can comment below, and I will see you next week.